Present now. Give me a second. You see it? I can start, right? There's a bit of echo I'm hearing. Start. Thank you. So let's start the session, folks. First of all, a very good afternoon based on the location. It's early morning here. It's still 7:30. So we are going to discuss for the next 30 to 40 minutes some of the key aspects around data privacy, especially in the age we are living in. So that's something that the topic for today's session. And it matters a lot to each one of us, though we may or may not be aware of it. So just to give you some of the glimpses around what we will be covering in say next 30 to 40 minutes, how's the agenda looking like? So we are going to discuss the AI and the Gen AI 101, just to be on the same page. It's not a full deep dive, but just to be everyone is aware what we are talking about. Then we will discuss about privacy and why it matters to each one of us, how to solve privacy puzzle, the challenges, the trade-offs, those that you know, future of privacy, how it looks like as of today, seeing in coming future, and then we can take up some Q&A session, which is where maybe some of you have some genuine questions. I'm going to try to answer to the best of my abilities. This is what the agenda will be looking like. Uh, I think still there is some echo, but I hope I'm audible enough to everyone. Some of one, if you can confirm. I think it's audible, so I'm continuing now. I'll start with a recent experience. I mean, that's personal experience I'm sharing straight away in terms of the context of privacy. A few months back, I purchased a domain. So all of you might be aware there are different domain providers. I purchased a domain, and the domain has seemingly the word tech inside it. It sounds like a company. And you won't believe that within 3 to 4 hours, my different email IDs, I'm not talking of a single email ID here, but different email IDs got different uh, invitations for, say, offerings. One was offering me accounting services. A leading cloud provider offered me 300 USD in credits to help with the startup, though there was no intention of starting a company, but still just the name of or the domain name itself triggered so many what do you call unsolicited um, like offers to me, and that was something I already know some of those things, so I was aware how it is coming up or how this is shaping up. But just to tell you that this was a very recent experience, which just reinforced my belief that yes, privacy is at stake, and not for me, not for you, for everyone. So we need to be a little careful when we deal with the digital world. So that's some of those aspects I'm going to talk about in today's session. That was a recent experience. Now we are living in a right? So maybe you may not have the aggregate or the stats, which I'm just going to show you on the screen, which might help you believe that it's actually a data tsunami. So you see, more than 300 million photographs are loaded every day on social media. I think you spend more, the world spend 450 plus hours, K hours, videos per minute. And then 1.2 plus petabytes data crosses internet wires every day. Now, petabyte is 1024 terabytes. You can Google it later how much of this data translates every day or every year. And these are just some basic stats I've shared that what kind of data a deluge we are living in, right? What kind of information overload, data overload we are seeing across our lives every day. Now, as I promised that I'll just kind of a basic primer on AI and Gen AI. Very sure most of you are already aware of what AI is, what Gen AI is, but just to give you a quick recap of what it is. AI was not a recent term. Some of you might think that it's maybe last 10 years or last 5 years. We are hearing this term, I think, every day, but it is not. It was, in fact, introduced long back in 1950s, you can think of. But yes, we do not have the data power, we don't have the machine power, and other infrastructure issues were there. So that's why we could not leverage AI as it is being done now. So basically, AI is just a superset of all your machine learning and your deep learning and all those things you hear. So it's more like you those data sets, your data, you can set, you think of it as data on which certain model learns. So some of you might already be doing some kind of a programming courses, something like Python or Java, where you do something like a procedural programming. You write a function and that does some kind of a job for you, right? But the way a model does it's different. So in procedural programming, you teach someone to, for example, to do a thing in a certain way. So you give the exact steps in a program. Then AI is different. So provide a model. The model learns by itself. That's what the machine learning is all about. That you provide some data, the model learns the data, the patterns, and obviously it infers some kind of a internal algorithm. Some of those algorithms you can see as is, some of those are not visible, and then that is getting being used, right? And it sees new data, it tries to predict the things basically. So that's what AI is. Gen AI is the newer term which is on the blog or last few years. I think 3 4 years back we have this OpenAI introducing ChatGPT and other models, and that's where this whole Gen AI revolution is taking place. Now, Gen AI stands for generative AI. That's the data, or I should say, uh, content is being generated. To be honest, I don't think it's generated. It is simulated. So what it does that it learns the patterns. It actually predicts the next word. So you can think of this if I give a very layman example. I being the Gen AI model, and you ask me, uh, I mean, is it sunny outside? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first use the patterns I have learned, and then I'll predict the first word. The first word is predicted, and then there is this word which is based on the probability. There's a lot of words which can fit into this. So it predicts the next word and so on. So this way it creates the entire sentence for you, not like a intelligence in a way how, but it is more like how it does it based on what it has learned. It gets next model, next word basically. Now the billions of those parameters which comes in. Now you might be hearing this as parameters. Now some of you may think, oh, what's parameter is? Parameter is nothing but think of it as a dimension which is present in the data. For example, uh, I want to predict the real estate prices in a particular city. So, what might be interesting parameters? Maybe how far the market is, how far the train station is, if it's the UK or US, because that matters a lot. And then how far maybe size of the flats or the society, the apartments where you want to how the neighborhood looks like. So all of these can be parameters. There can be tons of parameters, but I've just given you an example for this use case. Same way, there are billions of parameters on which these Gen AI models learns. And as I said, it's more of a probability game. It's no true understanding. It's not like your way, the way humans learn or the true intelligence is being depicted. So, all in all, AI is more of a broader spectrum where, the machine learns, not just through procedures as we do in programming languages. And Gen AI is more like where you use AI to generate uh, for content, images, videos, pictures, um, all of your stuff, what you do. The, so that's what the common understanding of Gen AI is about. Now, I've already explained it about. Then let's go dig a little deeper, understand the privacy aspect of it. So I'm going to build upon this slide to get to the privacy level. So just be a little careful when I'm just going to explain this, how a Gen AI model learns. So basically, it learns over internet. So it learns over all the data which is present as of today. I'm talking of a public Gen AI model. If you're building a private Gen AI model of yours, then probably you will limit the data. You don't want to get it trained over internet data. But then your data is being scrapped from all the apps, devices, webs, or whatever it is on the internet. And then obviously there's something called hyper tuning. I'll not get into technicalities. Then parameter, just explain case of a property uh, house estimation. Parameters that needs to be basically it's all the work data scientists or the machine learning engineers do. They adjust the parameters, call it like fine tuning of the dials. And once this parameters or once this model can predict with a good accuracy. Accuracy is just a misnomer because how accuracy is a good parameter. Maybe I'll not get into details, but you can Google something like what are the parameters on which a model is evaluated. Is just one of there are many others called few others, but you can even what this is about. Now, as we know, this model is more like a frozen brain. It has no intelligence, but it has been trained on some data and parameters which have been adjusted. And then a user comes and asks a question. It's called a prompt, right? You might be hearing this in prompt engineering a lot nowadays. So that's about how intelligently you can ask a question so you get a better response, basically. So once it receives a prompt, it goes ahead and uses the model and the data on which it has been trained on and try to give that probabilistic responses to you. That's why sometimes you see responses which are not accurate, right? For example, you may have seen hallucinations where you ask something, the GPT or the Gen AI model is giving a response which does not align to what you have asked for. That's called hallucination, right? So that's where I think some of the problems come because it's not trying to answer it smartly. It is trying to predict things based on the data which has been trained on. Now, I'm just uh, putting this term again and again, right? Why? Because that will lead to something known as the privacy angle here. So once the AI replies, it again logs the data, whatever the the model you are using for fine tuning of the things. Now, there's a nice quote you might be seeing on the screen. If you are not paying for the product, you are the product. Now, all of us love the freebies, right? Who doesn't? But at what cost? Basically, that's the question. And that's the question you should be asking yourself. If I'm using something for free, obviously I'm liking it. I'm not paying for it. It's good. But at what cost? That's the question. So this means that if you're not paying for the product, you're actually paying a bigger price for the product. I'll explain how. So there is a study done by Latanya Sweeney that's in late 2000s. It says in US, three pieces of information, just three pieces of information, the date of birth, the zip code, and the gender. And 87% of people living in the US. That's kind of shocking. Because if I know these three information, particular individual from US, I can pinpoint that individual. That's like trace that individual. And some of this information is in public domain. Don't you think so? That you don't provide any your date of birth, the zip code, or the gender to anyone. I think we provide much more than that on different platforms. And this means that you are on the tracking radar, basically. I'm giving an example of US, but India is no different. And you are, when I say you, every one of us is on the tracking radar because we do provide this information. Now you say, hey, Neeraj, I don't provide all this information to one provider. And that's the beauty of aggregation. So you provide something on one platform, something on the platform, something on the third platform, maybe your Facebook, maybe your Twitter, maybe or something on LinkedIn, maybe something on your other apps. I don't know all the apps which your generation uses, but I mean, I'm sure that you provide more than that. And now you're on the tracking radar. They know everything about you technically. When I say they, I mean the organizations which want to market your products, which see you as future potential customers. And now there's a debate, or in fact, there's some kind of a confusion that arises when we call privacy and when we call security, right? Some of these terms might be overlapping or confusing. So just to quickly sum it up, what the difference between privacy and security is, and obviously there can be different interpretations, but just to put it in a layman's term, I'll say security is when you just want to protect the data. That's what security is. And you use encryption, you want to store the data, you protect all those devices, you implement something like a multi-factor authentication, all those bits just to protect your data. Then what privacy is? So privacy is that who holds the the consent over data. So that's what privacy is, right? You can protect your data, I mean, through different physical mechanisms, digital mechanisms, but do you have consented the data to be used by someone? That's what privacy is, right? I mean, whether you allow someone to get hack of that data, to use that data in short. So that's important because we think privacy does not, it's just a good term, but maybe does not matter us too much. Maybe the upcoming slides try to dispel that myth. So before I get into a little more into the privacy aspect, just let's step back and see how the data is fine-tuned in AI. And when I'm saying AI, just take Gen AI also into the context. So fine-tuning is being done on various dimensions. First, it's on chats, whatever you're writing on chats. Your AI model is fine-tuning itself, Gen AI model, your GPT in short, with whatever corrections you are doing, whatever ratings you are giving. Whenever you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to some feedback, this always steers your future answers. Means you are going to get more of the things what you like, and you get less of those things which you don't like. Just for example, you open your YouTube. If you have not explicitly taken some precautions and you search for something, whatever videos or something, you might see that there's a pattern that over period of time, YouTube only recommends those things. Basically, just to give you an example, maybe in the recent conflict, if you are seeing a particular set of information or you're seeking a particular set of information, YouTube is going to recommend only that kind of videos. Now, see the other side. If somebody else is seeking a different perspective, do you think that they are going to see the same videos as you are being shown? In fact, they're going to see a different set of videos there, and that aligns to their perspective. That is what reinforcement learning, basically. So whatever you provide as data to AI, that reinforces AI to give you the same set of responses. You can give one more example. I mean, sometime back we did this experiment on Amazon. You go and search for something like maybe something like a T-shirt or a shirt or something. At the same point, somebody also searches the same thing, maybe same brand. It might be amazing to see this, or in fact shocking, that two different people searching the same brand, same price, same range, same city, everything same, but they see different colors of shirts or t-shirts being projected. Now, why? It means that's not static. It doesn't show the same colors to everyone. Yes, that's the power of reinforcement learning. It knows what your patterns are. You like blue, you like pink, right? So it knows what you like. I mean, I'm just giving one example. It knows much more than that. Now, there's a lot of federated updates you send from your phones. For example, the apps you use, somebody might be using Gboard or other apps. So there's a lot of updates you are doing on a daily, or I should say hourly basis to your models or the devices. And all this information is gold mine for the companies, right? So they are using this data to fine tune they're going to project you for future. Now, I'll give you some real life examples. Till now, it was all more or less theoretical, but now, I mean, if uh, in next few minutes, I'm going to showcase some of those examples, some of them which can be really shocking. So just hear me for some more time. Recently, there was an incident, and it's an alleged one. It's still not proven, but I'll be sharing that in case, say, some of us post some photos to a Facebook, and then if I put a photo and I delete it immediately, suppose I'm a teenager like you, and I post a photo, a selfie, and I delete it immediately. There was a thing where it was alleged that at the same time, the marketing companies get a notification to sell me more of the beauty products if I'm a male or female, whatever. So more of the information which enhances my self-worth. And that is something we know that kind of information is happening. Just by you deleting a selfie, within minutes you start getting ads or the offers for some beauty products or something which enhances your image. These are moments of vulnerability, and you are probably going to buy some of them. Not all, maybe some of us. Sometime back, there was another incident where one of the big stores, Target, they start sending some uh, called pregnancy time material to one of the households. The main head of that household objected to it, saying that there's nobody pregnant in our house. And later the person came to, yes, it was the case. This means that the companies know before you know, basically, right? So they those advertisements and those ads even before you can know about it, because they know your shopping patterns, right? They know what you purchase every. They know all of this. Strava is a fitness app. They were, I think, they used to track all the information, the routes which people jog on, fitness, or they run, and they accidentally revealed some secret military bases in US and other locations just because they are tracking everything and they're aggregating the data. So while they were showing some heat map, which is more like a data visualization graph, they reveal some of those secret military bases, and that lead to a uh, they have other examples where some of the AI, when it is being asked certain questions, they give not so normal advice to teens. So that's something which are, you can Google some of these, but then just to give you a quick glimpse of, this is not made up. This is where you can see it. Some of things is being in news most of the times. Now, I'll come to the next portion, and I think we are good on time. I'll just do a time check. See, yeah, I think we are good. So basically, now I'll come to how the companies monetize your data. Maybe you are aware of it, but some of the things might be new to you. So, an example of Amazon, you know that they have your purchase history, and whatever the ads you get, the price you get. and many more such things which you think you are a favorable customer or they are favoring you. But this is more like comes from what your purchase history is, how much you purchase, what is the credit worth for them. Just for an example, uh, I think uh, in UK, if there's is certain profile you maintain, and suppose you just return some of the items, maybe it's a certain threshold where, say, example, £5. If I return something today for £5, they're going to say keep the product as is, we'll refund you. But for the other person, they will not say the same thing because that is on the profiling basically. So there's a profile that is being maintained. So this is a personal example. So like I have seen that I don't need to return anything, though I'm refunded for that product if I purchase something. If I say no, I don't want this, take it back. They say no, you keep the product, you keep the money. But that's on the profile. Maybe somebody else, they might not say the similar something similar. So if Spotify, you skip some music video or some videos, I mean these records, then that kind of analytics also is being sold to these record labels basically. Google, whatever you search, right? That's all being sold in the ad auctions. And all your free chat apps, I'm just not naming them, but you know what I'm saying, that all these take your patterns or data patterns and fine tune their paid models. Now, there's a big debate between DeepSeek, which is from, I think, China, and the GPT, where more of these things are coming into light, that how this data, which is being trained, is being used, basically. I mean, it's your personal data, but have you given consent to train the models, the AI models, which are being used in GPT? Now, the big question, why it matters to me, right? Though we have seen a lot of examples, but then at the end of the day, if I want to sum it up, why it matters to me, but to you? Because these AI profiles, as I have given you a few examples, they will, once they profile you, you, you are under the radar basically. So there you are going to see more of the things which you want to buy or which you want to believe, the party you want to believe, the politics you want to believe, or the religion you want to believe, or whatever XYZ things, but it's all on profiling basically. So whatever is profile, your sandbox. Now you're just going to see more and more of this, and you will believe this is the world, or this is my world basically. Though in technicality things might be very different, somebody else might be living in a different set of world basically. Targeted manipulation, yes, you will get different prices than what you get or some of your neighbors get. Different news, yes, there's a different set of news you will see than your friend. Different kind of ads. This is called targeted manipulation. There's a lot of data leaks, which I think I was showing you one of the slides. There's a recent data leak from DeepSeek. So these can expose all your identity and behavior. Very recent, I think last week or this week, we had this big data leak in UK for Ministry of Justice. Millions of records have been exposed. So some of these things can you and your behavior. And then the future is the jobs, then judge you based on your data, right? It's still on your years, but assume that you are being judged for a job you apply for future that has a bearing on a comment on Facebook 10 years back. You are being rejected for that job because of the comment you made on a Facebook post 10 years back, 5 years back, right? This is just definitely going to hurt you, and you're not being told that you are being rejected for this reason. Okay? So think of this. Some of these may not matter to all of you, but some of this may definitely matter to some of you. I leave this to you to decide which of these boxes matters more to you. Now, this is more the scary story. Is there a solution to this? Yes, we talked about it. So Netflix did a case study, which is like 2006. What they did is they took 100 million anonymized ratings, all of the movie ratings on IMDb, and that is a 1 million. So what researchers When this case study was, ratings, they have just garbled the data, or I should say, anonymized the data in terms of ratings. What researchers did, they re-identified 87% of the actual data by just cross-matching it with the previous IMDb records. So the data was anonymized just for the contest sake. But what I mean to say is that researchers get to access to the right data just from the fake data or the anonymized data by just doing cross-matching with the original data. So what does it lead to? It leads to that even you anonymize the data, still it can be regenerated, or still it you can create the original data from that. And that means anonymization alone is very weak. I mean, you just anonymize the data, maybe it's not going to work that way because it's very easy to recreate the original data from the anonymized data. That's where more security mechanisms needed to protect privacy. One of them is something known as a differential privacy. Now, differential privacy might be a new term, but it is in industry or in use from years. Big companies like Google, Apple, they use digital differential privacy and call it as a digital camouflage. What it means, before going into the little bit details, but just to a quick sum or to a layman, I'll explain that. Suppose you have like suppose you fill a survey, right? And the survey, the question is very simple. I mean, just it's a some survey, and they are asking something about, say, gender or something of that sort, which may reveal your identity, as we discussed earlier. Now, what this differential privacy does is that it's going to flip the answers. Now, you'll say, Neeraj, if the answers in a survey are flipped, then the survey is not going to make sense, right? And that's that's where the catch is. That if we add noise to data instead of just doing it, anonymizing it or changing it, if we add noise in a way which is more like, which is based driven on some algorithms. It's in real world it's more complex, but I'm giving a layman example. So I'll say that five of you say for a gender male and five of you say female. Just an example. If we flip the data, randomize the data in a way, we add noise in a way that's more predictable. So the aggregate response is, if I just flip it in a way that every M I'll change to F and every F I change to M, you'll still see the overall aggregate response is still 50% of males and 50% of females. But then the good part is now nobody can get to you basically in terms of privacy. So you are secure in a way that your identity is not revealed from the survey, but still the service fits its purpose because they know that 50% of the people believe like this, 50% of the people believe like this. Just a layman example, the real world implementations are more complex. So basically it's adding noise, but in a statistical way, in a way that can be predicted basically. So patterns can be provided to companies, but individuals are protected, right? So, that's being used, as I said, in Apple iOS. So whatever data they collect, they do not anonymize, but they add some noise to it so that they understand the overall patterns, but they cannot identify that, okay, Neeraj has provided this response, or some of you have provided this response, but the overall patterns which they want to learn, which are useful for them, they know those patterns. Same for Google Chrome on your browsers, right? So when you do these searches, so Google Chrome has implemented differential privacy so that only the patterns it knows, not the individual sending a specific response. So this is being used in multiple places. Even US Census uses this differential privacy. Now, there's one more approach called federated learning. So as you know that usually the data, whatever you provide, that leaves your device. But then on federated learning, the data resides on the device and only the changes are being sent to the models. Probably think of it as maybe a model running on some company premises or cloud, and you're running some app on your device. You put some data into the app, the data goes to the cloud, right? But in this federated learning, the data stays local, right? So only the encrypted changes, the gradients, the changes leave the phone. So it reduces the risk of data leaving as is completely from your device. And then you can obviously combine it with differential privacy, which I just explained like some time back with this federated learning for this extra protection. Some other mechanisms, I'll quickly go through them. One of them is homomorphic encryption. Probably these are some of the topics which needs entire sessions in itself. So I'll be not going into details, but give you a very quick glimpse of so that you can understand the terms. Homomorphic encryption is, as of today, you whenever some kind of computation needs to happen on data, the data is available in plain text. Now, what it says is the data remains encrypted. The algorithms do the whatever they want to do, the processing on encrypted data, which is technically not possible if you think of that way, right? You have at some point you have to decrypt the data, but so the data is encrypted, you still keep the encrypted data and the algorithm processing that data. It's fantastic, right? But then there are some issues because of performance. I mean, because of the other things, for example, the processing power and all those. But yes, this is something which is a topic where some of the companies using that. I mean, not many companies, but some companies are using homomorphic encryption. They do not decrypt the data. They use the encrypted data to do the processing. And it's more of a research thing which is going on where how the homomorphic encryption can be used. Synthetic data, as we all know, mocked up data, use of mocked up data, zero knowledge. That's an interesting term in terms of crypto and bitcoins and all those things. Zero knowledge proof is an interesting thing. I'll give you a very layman example for this is suppose there are two doors in a cave and your friend says, uh, I know, I mean, these two doors are connected somewhere. And your friend says, I know that what's the secret door or the secret key for this cave for the two doors. And you say, I don't believe you. So what this person does, it, I mean, the idea is that this person going to go from one door and going to get out from the other door if it's possible, if that he or she knows the key. So this person goes and comes out. You try different times and the person comes out successfully. So you kind of believe that this person knows the keys because these two doors are connected in the cave basically. uh, this the person Does the person told you the key? No, right? This person hasn't spoken about what the key is, but they have shown you that they know the thing and you believe you based on you know that the two doors are connected. This is the layman example. Maybe you can Google it more about what is zero knowledge proof. It's a way of saying that you don't reveal the data but you reveal that yes you know the data and the other party believes yes you know the data based on what you have revealed, basically not the actual secret. There's encryption and security nowadays. Devices or hardwares are available which don't let your data traverse full spectrum. So that's another thing where the data resides on the hardware itself. It does not even go to these different components of the hardware, the traveling between these different components, which might leak the data. So that kind of thing is also there for secure enclaves, and then multiple parties doing the computation and contributing to the results. So that's another thing where everything needs to be stored centrally, but more like in a way that every party does its own set of computations and then just sends the aggregate. Some of these things bring a bit of complexity. In a nutshell, some of these things are already there. There's not like future, they're already there. And some good deep research is going on some of those aspects to make it more general so that it's adaptable for more companies. Now, there are some trade-offs. obviously, accuracy versus privacy. So the thing is that to protect your privacy, sometimes things may not be as accurate as it might be in terms of, I'm speaking more in terms of algorithms or the models or the Gen AI models. For them, it is a bit of a overhead to protect your privacy, and that's the reason they don't do it in the first place. So the more data, the smarter AI, but then it brings a privacy risk, right? So that's where I think a bit of balance needs to be there. The local models, as I said, the model of federated learning, which runs on your mobile device, they use more of your device power. I mean, today now the devices are much more powerful, but it's still, I think if you are using a lot of those things, then it is going to consume a lot of device power. And not all companies might balance this fairly, right? Some of these companies have deep pockets. They can pay for this thing, but not all. And then it might, as I said, that adding noise might slightly reduce the accuracy, but not the overall pattern. As I spoke, that this will be still being used nowadays with Apple and Google and a lot of other companies using definition privacy. Just doing another time check onto. Okay, I think we are good on time. So another few minutes and then we'll be closing. So this is looking ahead. So some of these laws which are enacted, you might have heard of some of the laws specifically in Indian context as well as in the global context. And this is this GDPR, which protects the privacy to a larger extent. Then of late, EUI is also enacting an AI law where I think some more safeguards and guardrails are built in. Uh, there's a lot of things going in US laws around privacy, some safety bills. Then there's a bit of choice which we might see in coming days or future, but some of these things are also with us today. For example, opting out. So when you go to a website, the easiest thing to do is accept all, right? And sometimes you may not even see that banner of us rejecting the cookies. This is gold mine for companies to track you. So wherever possible, try to reject the cookies, see the settings. It might take 5 more minutes of yours, but then you might have much more better chances of safeguarding your privacy today and in future if you opt out. I mean, say spare those 5 minutes for opting out from those settings. Most of the times, the defaults are always allow. Try to see those settings in your subscriptions and your apps. Give the right permissions. As of today, I think most of the apps they have a default full permissions, and or if not full, maybe most of the permissions. They read your chat, they read your messages, they read your other information, your photographs, your images, and everything. So think ahead in terms of whether I really want to do this. Maybe take a day in the week to review. Maybe it will take more than 30 minutes or so, but it's just going to benefit you a lot in terms of your future. Try to use browsers which do not track the cookies by default. For example, something known as Brave. You can check it, or there are others maybe in the market which are free and you can use them if you want. And then there's the other advances which are going on. We use the GPT models offline so that they do not connect to internet. I think there are a few models already available. They may not give you the nicest feel or the UI, but still is very useful if you want to do just local search and some basic stuff. And then privacy by design products, which is I feel more of a lip service as of today, but in future you might see some of those things. Now, protect your data, as I said, review your app permissions, if not weekly, maybe monthly. Turn off data for training toggle. So that means in GPT, if you go into the settings, you will see that there is, I mean, you can turn off the memory. I have turned off the memory, but it learns a lot about me. In one of the recent examples, I was just asking it the distance between two train stations. So it says from your first station to the second station, the distance is this. Now, the interesting is that I just provided the source, and for the second station, I just gave a very generic region. So at that point, it just, for example, it was from, say, one of the areas called Milton Keynes, a station, to central London. I said, what's the distance and the cost? And even I was shocked to know that knows where my office is because of my previous searches. So turn off that data as I mean those settings as far as possible, but still say it learns even if you've done some of those dials. To say that don't do it, but do it. At least you have a better uh, protection than zero turn-offs. And think before pasting anything sensitive. Sometimes the heat of the emotions, we put comments or on social media apps and all of this. Maybe the recent conflict you might have seen, a lot of people have done that. Just try to see if this makes really sense to paste something very sensitive uh, before you actually hit the send button. And then maybe some of you might turn out after the session. I feel that is not everyone, but some of you might definitely feel that privacy matters, and you will advocate for some of those things in your school projects. And before I wind up, I want to give you some takeaways from this session. I feel the session may have given you some insights, but just on a high level, you have maybe learned a bit about how privacy impacts you. It's not only in the Western countries or in some of those things where you see in news, okay, something has happened to someone. How does it bothers me? It bothers every one of us. So we talked about the differential privacy and the federated learning. The models learns you without exposing you. Then you might be the future builders of some of those things in when you go to your jobs and all this. So if you have the basics right under your belt today, probably that might help you in the longer run. AI needs data all the time. As we need food, AI needs data. So think that it cannot survive without your personal data. So try to see if what are the mechanisms available to you. In case you're interested, maybe we can have a more deep dive session into the implementation aspects of it in future. But if not, then please have a look at what are the aspects available to you to protect your data and apps. Just spend some time to keep the dials off into your apps. And then whatever choices you are going to make today will shape your future. Even your college application may not, maybe more than what your marks you secure here. What choices you make on social media may impact that future jobs and future applications. I'm emphasizing it again and again because I cannot explicitly say this. I have some more details on this, but I hope you got the hint. And stay curious, stay in control of your data. I'm pausing now. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to take those questions and get done from a session perspective. If anyone has a question, feel free. Sure. Versus privacy, right? Is that I just sum it up, because there was a bit of muffled voice in between here and there. So I'll just try to sum it up. You can say that, is this your question? So what I understand is that, I mean, we talked on two different dimensions. One is uh, the data being feeding to the AI. The second one is that the AI, the differential privacy, if we implement it, technically it slightly reduces the accuracy, but not fully, of these models. So why companies are not doing it? Is this your question? Okay. To answer it, there are two things. One is that, what is in it for the companies to do this? I mean, this is just a question for all of you, that why you do something, right? I mean, in general, I'm asking you because there's a motive. Uh, that's the reason you do something. For companies, profits are the motives, right? That drives them. Whatever they do in the name of CSR is just for news, right? It's not for you, it's for news. So when you say that, why companies are not doing it, just because it does not give them any advantage in terms of cost or profit or revenue or something, right? That's why companies are not doing it unless they're obligated. So if the laws say that you have to do it, then they have to do it. Uh, they can technically do it. Some of the companies are doing it. For example, I gave an example of Apple. Whenever Apple uses your data is still, I mean, takes that differential privacy into account. So it says that it cannot pinpoint you, that you have given this information, but still it can learn this information from different patterns of users like you and others, basically. So companies are doing it, not everyone, just because there are costs involved in it, and why you're going to pay to products which does not bothers you or does not hit your bottom line or revenues or targets or cost and all of this. That's the reason. Unless say India or someone says no, you have to do it this way only, then companies are bound to do it, and that's where I think uh, they will invest more of this their efforts of what you call training resources onto these models so that accuracy can be driven up, basically. What I mean to say is that once the companies do it by force or by any other reason, they're going to put more efforts, things will become better. The accuracy maybe you're seeing today, I'm giving an example, say 95%, just an example. If I put more resources, tomorrow I can reach 99% or differential privacy. The question is why I'm going to put those resources into it, right? Unless I have a benefit or I have obligation. These are the two reasons company do it, basically. That answers your question. Okay. Thanks. Any other questions anyone has? In between your lunchtime? Apologies for that in advance.